My mother's text came at 11:27 p.m. The screen lit up once, illuminating the dark apartment. We changed all the locks. The house is gone. Now let's see how brave you are. I just stared at it for a moment. The words didn't seem real at all. My thumb hovered over the screen, as if it might burn me if I touched it. I read it once, then twice, then a third time, each word etched into my brain like an ice carving. I expected tears, maybe anger, maybe fear, but what came instead was a calmer, colder, clearer light. I didn't text back. I didn't call. I didn't break down. I smiled, because the truth none of them understood was that the house wasn't a building. It wasn't theirs to buy, and what happened next would shatter the comfortable empire they had built on greed, lies, and my obedience. I didn't regret it for a second. If you've ever been used up, and abandoned by your own family, by the people who were supposed to protect you, then you know the taste of such betrayal. You're hitting the subscribe button in your soul, because this story isn't about revenge for the sake of revenge. It's about documentation and justice delivered with precision. It's about what happens when familial greed meets legal strategy and loses. My name is Jessica Chen. I'm 28 years old, and my numerical intelligence, with a memory for detail and a mind for data, has been both my curse and my salvation. I grew up in a neat 2-story colonial in Portland, Oregon, with white shutters on the windows and a maple tree that sheds its red leaves every fall. From the outside, everyone would have called us the perfect family. Inside those walls, perfection was a spectacle, and I was the stagehand keeping the spectacle going. The abuse began innocently enough, or what passes for innocence when you're too young to see the patterns. I was 14 when my father started giving orders instead of requests. Jessica, grab the ladder. We're fixing the gutters. Or, Jessica, come grab the flashlight. Weekends turned into sores and sweat. While other girls experimented with makeup and gossip, I would sand fences and climb roofs. My palms were cut from working with tools that were too heavy for my age. My back ached constantly, but every complaint earned the same workout response. "You're tougher than any son I could ask for," my father would say with a laugh. Combing my hair like that took the edge off. Mum would nod her head in agreement. Family helps family. "Jessica, you're so talented. Amanda is elegant." Elegant. That was the preferred family code. My little sister Amanda was always the orchid in the sunlight, and I was the root holding the flower up from the ground. I believe in their stories, that manual labour builds character, that it's love disguised as discipline. By the time I was 17, I had been so indoctrinated that saying no was tantamount to cruelty. Then came the financial grace. At first it was subtle, things were tight. Mum would sigh. "Can you help with the electric bill?" It was like she was asking me to pass the salt at dinner. Then came the mortgage payments, the unexpected expenses, the gentle manipulations that prided themselves on solving problems that weren't my business. By the time I was 21, I realised that my parents didn't accept my help. They were dependent on it. I was the invisible stream of income that financed their illusion of stability, while they quietly saved every last ounce of savings for Amanda's future. When I asked about vacations or small luxuries, I was told that those weren't priorities right now. Meanwhile, Amanda bought a brand new car at 16, paid for her private college tuition in full, and an all-expenses-paid trip to Italy to study art, working 12-hour shifts, balancing clients' schedules, and eating instant noodles at my desk. When you teach me to accept the crumbs, love has a way of masquerading as logic. I told myself it was fair because I was the strong, responsible one. Being a reliable girl made me feel important. Then about a year ago, that illusion cracked. At first I noticed the little things. The whispers that interrupted when I walked into the room. The family planning conversations where my name never came up. My heart told me something was wrong, but until that night in March I couldn't prove it. I came home late from my accounting job, my shoulders heavy with tax season fatigue, and I heard voices in the kitchen. I almost passed out before they caught my name. So I froze and listened. "The deed is only in our names," my mother said quietly. "Jessica doesn't understand that all her help is voluntary. She won't take anything when we sell." My father laughed in a deep, disgusted voice that didn't belong to the man I once trusted. He never asked for paperwork. Classic Jessica. All heart, no business sense. Then Amanda's hesitant but curious voice came. "But wouldn't she expect something?" Mom snorted. "What would she expect?" "She gave gifts. Gifts don't take ownership." I clung to the wall until my fingers turned white. They were planning to sell the house. I had drawn me, kept me, financed me, and cut me off completely. My family was plotting like mobsters, dividing up stolen goods. I didn't cry. I didn't confront them. Instead, I went to my room, opened my laptop, and quietly began to plot the course of action that would end them. For the next 6 months, I lived 2 lives. By day, a gentle accountant. By night, a document hunter. Every receipt, every email, every digital transfer all became pieces of a legal puzzle. My father's arrogance was my secret ally. He never kept clean books. He would send me quick transfers from my account to his account with vague notes like assistance or temporary. I catalogued everything. I covered $47,000 in mortgage payments, $23,000 in repairs, $15,000 more in utilities when they claimed financial hardship. $85,000 came to me neatly. Add to that 13 years of unpaid labour, painting the siding, replacing the shingles, installing drainage systems that any contractor would have charged tens of thousands for. I prepared spreadsheets so detailed that even the IRS would have applauded. Once my mountain of evidence was complete, I quietly met with 3 separate attorneys to confirm what my instincts already knew. Legally, I had a case, a strong one. My name might not be on the deed, but equity is not always written in ink. That proof is written in blood, sweat, and bank records. So I waited. When the message came that September night, we had changed all the locks. The house was gone.
Now let's see how brave you are.
It didn't break me. It completed the picture. In the end, this oppressive ha-ha was the final nail in their tale of cruelty. It proved their intent. It made their motives clear. They thought they were leaving me out. What they were really doing was giving me the final piece of the puzzle they needed to burn their little empire to the ground. And this time, legally, I slept better that night than I had in months. The next morning, I went into work at 7 a.m. with coffee in one hand and phone in the other. On the second ring, my lawyer answered. "Good morning, Jessica." I smiled, slicing through the office blinds, my eyes fixed on the sunrise. "Fill in the application," I said, my voice steady despite the adrenaline rushing through my veins. He didn't need to clarify. We had been preparing for this moment for months. 2 days later, my parents' lawyer called me in what I can only describe as a panic attack. "Miss Chen, we have a serious problem here." We have this problem, of course, an iron problem. I had them completely broken, but I wanted them to understand that the girl they had used and fired for years had become, the next day, a woman who had no idea what was going on. The table was dominated by mine and theirs. My father, red-faced for the first time, trying to maintain his usual dominance, and Amanda, the first time in months that I had been in the same room with all 3 of them. I didn't feel any eye contact with any of them. Instead, I placed a manila folder bearing that familiar tone of voice from my father. Every bank account, every receipt, every financial record, $23,000 in bank transfers for home improvements and repairs. During a financial emergency, I provided what was needed for contractor invoices. It was a series of text messages and emails that clearly requested my financial assistance, promising that it was temporary and that they would make it up to them once their situation improved. The documents and the look on her parents' faces finally made her realise that she was a beneficiary in a scheme designed to exploit her sister. These were gifts to help the family. Jessica never asked for any formal arrangements. My attorney's response was calm and precise. "Mr. Chen, these documents show a pattern of donations presented as temporary assistance during a financial hardship. My client has evidence that you and your wife knowingly concealed your true financial situation when you accepted these payments." He produced another set of documents, bank statements that I called, showing my parents' actual financial situation during the times they claimed to need my help. They had substantial savings accounts and investment portfolios at all times. From that, in addition, my lawyer continued, "The text message your wife sent to my client, clearly threatening to make him homeless, demonstrates an intent to deprive him of the benefits of his contributions." The silence in that room was stifling. I looked into my parents' faces as the reality of their situation sank in. That house, their castle, their kingdom, their weapons against me were slipping out of their control. My mother tried to speak first, her voice shaky and desperate. "Jessica, my dear, this is all Amos's understanding. We never meant to say that you never intended to document everything for me," I interrupted her, speaking directly to her for the first time since I entered the room. "You never intended to understand my property rights. You never intended to understand that I have been subsidizing your lifestyle for years, while you have been saving your own money for Amanda's future." My father's face turned a disturbing purple. "After everything we have done for you, raising you, keeping you alive, feeding you." Then, after 14 years of using me as an unpaid employee, I cut him off. After taking $85,000 of my money, Zirent, and getting angry, after planning to sell the house, I helped build and maintain it without giving me a whiff of the profits. My lawyer laid out our demands with surgical precision. My client does not want his contributions back. He is seeking a legal ownership interest in the property based on those contributions. Given the documented evidence of financial investment and labour, we are demanding a 50% ownership interest. The room exploded. My father began to scream about ungrateful children and legal demands for money. My mother burst into tears, crying about family loyalty and how I had ruined everything. Amanda just sat in shocked silence, probably calculating how much her inheritance had shrunk. But I remained calm, focused. I had been preparing for this moment for months, and their emotional manipulation could no longer touch me. The judge handed down his verdict 6 weeks later. When I signed, I stood in front of the courthouse with the official papers that gave me legal ownership of 50% of the property. Not because my family had generously decided to include me here, but because the law recognised what they were trying to deny. I had earned my share of that house through years of financial contributions and hard work. The first thing I did was not go back home. That place was poisoned with too many memories, years of manipulation and exploitation. Plus, they had changed the locks. Remember, they had made it clear that I was not welcome there. Instead, I forced the property to sell. As a 50% owner, I had the legal right to demand an annulment if I could not come to an agreement with the other owners about the use of the property. And since my parents had made it clear that they did not want to live with me, and I did not want to live with them, selling was the only logical option. The house sold for $680,000, probably much more than they had bargained for, thanks to everyone. The improvements I had financed over the years, my share it was $340,000 after taxes and fees. But here's the beauty of it. My parents were waiting to sell that house to fund their retirement. They planned to pocket the entire $680,000, use some of it to buy a smaller place, and invest the rest in their golden years. Instead, they walked away with $340,000 before taxes and fees, enough to buy a modest apartment in a less desirable neighbourhood. Their dreams of a comfortable, wealthy retirement were shattered overnight. With my share of the proceeds, I bought a beautiful townhouse in a quiet neighbourhood on the outskirts of town. It's smaller than the family home, but it's all mine. Every mortgage payment, every utility bill, every improvement is my choice and my responsibility. They still try to contact me sometimes. My dad sends emails full of guilt trips. "After all we've sacrificed for you, this is how you repay us." My mom, with a guilty conscience, leaving voicemails. "The family needs to forgive Jessica. You'll regret it when we leave." Amanda tried to mediate, offering family therapy and claiming she never knew about the plans to cut me off. But she was sitting at the kitchen table, discussing how to get me out of the house. She knew exactly what was going on. I don't answer any of them. I blocked their numbers, filtered their emails, and moved on with my life. Because the truth is, when they changed those locks and sent me that cruel message, they thought they were taking away my safety and my future. What they were really doing was giving me the evidence they needed to make a claim against me. They wanted to make me homeless. Instead, they lost their home and their pension. And now, as I sit in my living room and drink coffee in the peaceful silence of my own space, I smile. I laugh because the locks they changed don't matter. Now I have my own locks. I laugh because the house they were trying to keep has sold, and the money has been half of it is mine. And smile, because this message was meant to break me, the ultimate proof of their betrayal. Sometimes the people who hurt you the most are the ones who think they know you best. They assume you will always be who they conditioned you to be. Compliant, giving, easy to manipulate. But people grow, people learn, and sometimes people fight back. If this story resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe for more stories about standing up to toxic family members. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever taken legal action against a family member who tried to take advantage of you? What was your breaking point? Your stories help others understand that they are not alone in these situations.